Hi, yes, Jackie here from the LGFA, and we are on a Zoom call today in the shadow of Croke Park, ahead of the CURRENTACCOUNT.IE All-Ireland Club Finals at the weekend, Senior and Intermediate Finals at Croke Park on Saturday, and on Sunday then we have a Junior Final in Kilmallock in County Limerick. Naomh Abán from Cork up against Salthill-Knocknacarra from Galway on Saturday at 3 p.m. It's Mullinahone from Tipperary against Longford Slashers in the Intermediate Final, followed by Donaghmoyne from Monaghan against the holders, Kilkerrin-Clonberne from Galway at 5 o'clock at HQ. So three very special guests this evening to chat through what lies in store. Top left-hand side of my screen is well-known Cork reporter Ger McCarthy, former LGFA Journalist of the Year, of course. And bottom left-hand side of my screen is Niall Treanor, former Monaghan manager, who'll have a great insight into the Donaghmoyne mindset, and Ulster Ladies Fixtures Secretary and another former LGFA Journalist of the Year, Darren Kelly, bottom right-hand side of my screen as well, from Galway, well known for the dulcet tones, Ger and Darren from Cork and Galway, respectively. How are we doing, lads?
Good now, Jackie. How are you?
Good. Ger, I'll start with you because Naomh Abán from Cork are a team you've written extensively about in recent times. They're a team you've been following quite closely in recent times. They pit their wits against Salthill-Knocknacarra on Sunday. Darren has given us an unbelievable insight into Salthill-Knocknacarra ahead of their semi-final victory over the Wires, a narrow enough victory as it transpired. So, Ger, tell us all about Naomh Abán, intermediate champions back in 2003 and back on the big stage again, albeit in the junior final, but nevertheless an All-Ireland final is always a massive occasion.
Yes, it is. And it is for a club that has been on the up, not just this year, but over the last couple of years, Jackie. Noel McDonough, who's the manager of Naomh Abán, who we've interviewed this week for a couple of papers down here in Cork, has pretty much pinpointed their under 21 and minor success from about a year ago as the catalyst for this particular team to kick on. They've won the Cork Junior A Football Championship. That'll be the third tier in Cork in the club championship this year. Very, very difficult championship to win because there's so many evenly matched teams. And over the last couple of years, mirroring the men's hurling and football in Cork when they rejig the championships here in Cork, you're now getting a lot of teams, you know, between relegation and promotion through all the grades in Cork and Cork Ladies football. It's starting to even out now. You're getting a lot of very, very competitive games throughout the championship. To win this year's junior championship, Naomh Abán had to play really, really well and consistently well, and they did that. When they came out of Cork, everything after that, by their own admission, was going to be a bonus. And getting through Munster has never been tougher, even at the junior grade. And I've seen that in intermediate and senior as well over the last couple of years, and the lads can attest to that. But they came through some very, very difficult games, very, very difficult weather conditions in a lot of their games this year as well, which I know a lot of the other clubs from all four corners of the country have had to deal with as well. But Naomh Abán, we were laughing last week. I interviewed their captain, Una Tuig, saying it's like 4 seasons in 1 year because they've played in searing heat. Today they won the Munster Junior or the Cork Junior. They played in the typhoon down in Waterford, and then they beat Comra, and then they beat Ula from Limerick. So to win Munster and to get to the semi-final, which they did it the hard way. And that was the day a couple of weeks ago where they hosted from County Monaghan, Castleblaney Falls, and what a day that was for the community down in Ballyvorney, for a huge crowd. And fair play to Castleblaney Falls as well. I must give them credit here. A huge crowd came down from Monaghan for the match, crackling atmosphere, really good, tough game. Very little between it, even though it finished 12-7 in Naomh Abán's favour. This is a team with a lot of youth within the ranks, but they've also got the requisite, I think, experience, and they've needed it at times in very tight games this year. And it's one of the things I know their opponents, Salthill-Knocknacarra, have had to come through quite a lot of tight games as well, which leads me to believe, Jackie, that this weekend's final, it's very, very hard to call it. It's going to be tight, definitely. It's going to be close. But I think Naomh Abán from Cork are a team, now that they're up into the intermediate ranks in Cork, I think they are built to get to the senior ranks. And when they do, much like Castlehaven have done this year down in Cork, they'll be ready for it. But first, they have an All-Ireland final this weekend, and it is their biggest challenge of the year by their own admission.
Okay, and I suppose the recent record of Cork clubs in junior finals is good. Ger, Donaghmoyne, Glanmire, Ahada, 2019, 18, 17, all successive winners from the county. I suppose it's a little bit unusual, and you alluded to it in a podcast during the week that, you know, I think there was 1 year not so long ago when we had 3 Cork clubs in junior, intermediate and senior finals. Naomh Abán are the last club standing. I'm sure they're very, very proud of that fact.
They are indeed, and it's something Noel McDonough has again, their manager and their management team, they're getting a lot of extra attention, obviously, down in Cork when they're the solitary Cork representative, which is unusual for Cork. We'd usually have a team or a club or two in the latter stages of all the championships, but that's not the way it's worked out this year. It's getting tougher and tougher, Jackie, in Munster at senior level, at intermediate level, and I say that as a Cork freelance journalist who covers the Cork side of things, but I've seen over the last couple of years, and I even saw it last year in the All-Ireland as well with Kilkerrin-Clonberne, like, and deservedly beating, Mournabbey when whatever it was a couple of years ago, beating Mournabbey. It is very, very hard now when you get out of your championship to keep the momentum going. That's the thing, because you're dealing with adverse weather conditions, heavy pitches. It's late in the year. And one of the things I've noticed as well from talking to the Naomh Abán camp lately is that they started the players told me they started last January, but the manager told me they started the previous November. So maybe they blocked out the first 2 months of pre-season. I don't know, maybe as players, but they have been on the road all year. And it's just like all the finalists. If you want to be successful at the business end of the Ladies Football Championships, junior, intermediate, senior, you've got to be committed, you've got to be dedicated, and it's going to take you all year. That's just the nature of the beast now with the championships to get them completed. That's what you've got to do. You've got to be good in all kinds of weather conditions, and you've got to be consistent. And the one thing Naomh Abán have been this year, and I would say to them, they've kept their opponents' scores under 10 points. Whenever they've done that, they've won. And they had to do it against Castleblaney Falls. They held Castleblaney to 2 frees in the first half, and that suggests that Castleblaney didn't play well, which is not the truth at all. But when you've got a back six like they have, and you've got a mobile middle third, and you've got some really good young forwards, Grace Murphy, Alana Hoare, Emer Murphy in the forward line like they do, all 3 facets of the game to be successful, Naomh Abán have it. Will it be enough to get over Salthill-Knocknacarra? I don't know. But I do know that they are a team brimming with confidence, have had a fantastic run, are together, and have a huge community behind them. We're going to have a massive crowd in Kilmallock. I've no doubt Salthill will travel because they always do. But I'm telling you now, Ballyvourney, from the Cork-Kerry border, they are coming in huge numbers that day. They told me that the day we were down there. And it's a really nice story. It's a feel-good story in Cork football this year. One of the rare ones, because as you said, they're the last Cork team standing. They're getting a lot of attention, but deservedly so.
Absolutely. There's your notes for Sunday, Darren, from the Naomh Abán side. So you might do a little trade-off now with Ger, and you can fill him in on Salthill-Knocknacarra. Not that he hasn't his homework done, of course. You gave us an unbelievable lowdown on them last day, Darren. They had to really dig out that semi-final against Soda Wires. And speaking to Alva during the week, Alva Finnerty, Ger touched on the fact that Naomh Abán, they aspire to be, to get up the grades and up the ranks and ultimately to be a senior outfit of renown. I think Salthill-Knocknacarra have great admiration for Kilkerrin-Clonberne as well and what they've done, Darren.
Yeah, well, actually, there's 2 things I was thinking of there, Jackie, when Ger was talking. One about the different adverse weather conditions. The last day in the Prairie, at least, we had 4 different types of weather, starting off a glorious sun at the start for a parade with the young players, and it turned out to be biblical conditions the last 10 minutes. But for Salthill-Knocknacarra first, and their story is not just about the ladies' football this year. All 4 codes have put in tremendous work and have had tremendous success over the last 12 months. When you take this, their junior hurlers were Connacht champions, their camogie team were in Croke Park back in March, and their senior footballers nearly won the county championship. But this story with the ladies' footballers has been brilliant as well. They've won a first ever county title back in October, beating St. Fercy's, and when they've been on song, they've been very, very impressive. But as Ger alluded to as well, they've had to go to the well a couple of times, including against St. Mary's Kilturgan in the Connacht semi-final, and especially the last day. You can make an argument it was their own fault in a certain degree with kicking 19 wides, and certainly if their shooting is off in Kilmallock on Sunday like that, I can guarantee it'll be Naomh Abán that are going to be All-Ireland champions. But it goes to show exactly what Salthill-Knocknacarra are capable of if they can get it right. And in those, both teams, I find myself, have a good spread of scores that are making a mark at this time of the year. Even with Naomh Abán, different scores the last day, they got more than 1 point, and that was a 12 points to 7 scoreline. Where for Salthill-Knocknacarra, their half forward line that I expect the way to line out, Laura Kelly, Lauren O'Donnell, and Kate Thompson, will be formidable. I think that battle between those 3 players and the half backs, Emma Kelly, Roisin Corkery, and Mary Ellen Kelleher, that's the way to line out, could well dictate this game as well as the midfield battle. For Salthill-Knocknacarra, this is new territory for themselves, but as I touched on there already, some of their players do have experience of the big stage based on what they've done in camogie. 3 of them were involved in the Galway intermediate camogie team that won the All-Ireland back in August as well. And especially in junior football, that experience is massive with Jula, because a lot of these players, and I dare say most of the Naomh Abán players, this is new to them as well. While Cork have the tradition and they're going for a 9th title, this is Galway only 2nd time in a final, because Caltracoons won in 2010. But that experience is going to be massive too, and it's what they've learned from both games. Salthill-Knocknacarra, they worked hard the last day, but they rolled their luck. O'Dwyer's could have hit a couple of big scores as well. Salthill-Knocknacarra were the better team, but O'Dwyer's had chances to win that match. But as Ger said there, Naomh Abán, I think they've only conceded 19 points in their last 3 games since beating O'Donovan Rossa in the county final. Salthill-Knocknacarra have to beat that figure. They have to take those chances, and if they don't, they're going to struggle to win this match.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's a game you're both going to on Sunday, I believe. So wrap up well, lads, and we will see you in Kilmallock.
We've learned over the last couple of weeks.
The fingerless gloves, I think, will have to be out on Sunday, lads. Niall, how are things bubbling up in Monaghan? Obviously, first of all, we've got Longford Slashers against Mullinahone, which is going to be a very, very interesting intermediate final on Saturday. Longford Slashers, the first Longford club ever to appear in an All-Ireland club final, so that's a bit of history for them. And Mullinahone, I suppose, just to put it into context, Niall, the only played in a junior final as recently as back towards the end of January, early February, and to now find themselves put aside that heartbreak and get to an intermediate decider so quickly, the huge credit already before they even take to the field on Saturday.
Yeah, Timahone, suppose, is the credit to the work that's been done in Tipperary at the underage level. In fairness, they have been coming up. They've always been up against Kerry and the likes of the Corks and that. But the work that's been done at underage level in Tipperary really stands out whenever it comes to club football. And in fairness, Darren Kelly, I suppose, had travelled over to England and then had to travel down there as well for the All Ireland semi-final. And it was a tough game, in fairness, and it could have went either way. But Timahone has come out on the other side of it, and they're looking forward to the challenge on Saturday in Croke Park.
Yeah, and so that game, Mullinahone against Longford Slashers, precedes Donaghmoyne against Kilkerrin-Clonberne. This should be one hell of a game. Niall, you would have managed some of these, and I know I've asked you this question before about the mindset of players like the Courtneys, and you look at the Garland twins there as well. Lauren Gartland's goal the last day was absolutely phenomenal. Niamh Callan at full back, Linda Martin in nets. Like in my own head, I'm making a strong case for Donaghmoyne now. Donaghmoyne have already met Kilkerrin-Clonberne this year, and 2 goals separated the sides, 2 first half Nicola Ward goals in effect at half time and full time separated the 2 teams. What are you thinking about Donaghmoyne's chances on Saturday?
Well, I suppose Kilkerrin-Clonberne are going to go in as favourites because they are the current All-Ireland champions. But you have to remember, I suppose this could be Francie Coleman and some of the more experienced Donaghmoyne's, I suppose, swan song when it comes to finals and that. And Donaghmoyne, when it comes to playing in finals, they embrace these in sort of occasions. And as you said there, like, there's some real household names when it comes to club football on both sides of it. Like, you have the Courtneys, you have the Wards, you have the Divneys, you have the McConnells, you have the Noonans, and you have the Garlands. Like, it's outstanding footballers on both sides. And I seen them that day at the All Ireland Sevens, which you were at as well. Like, and it's just the grit and the determination from both sides. And I suppose you could say that Kilkerrin-Clonberne is the new kids on the block. Donaghmoyne are the seasoned campaigners when it comes to club football. They're nearly always in it. I suppose they have been in. This will be their 7th All Ireland title. The last time that they were in it was in 2016, and they won it. And that, so, like, they haven't really lost too many All Ireland club finals, but just on the back of their performance over the last number of years, their grit and their determination of winning 20 senior championships in Monaghan, which was an unbelievable performance by them all. 14 Ulster titles, and they're going for 6 All-Ireland titles now as well. But I think as well, whenever you look at both of them, I think both of them will embrace the challenges that each of them will bring on Saturday till Croke Park. But Kilkerrin-Clonberne, I suppose, players came more recently in Croke Park, I suppose, when they played for Galway and that. But the Donaghmoyne ones will embrace the day and be looking forward to the challenge. And as I said, as I alluded to there, when their backs is up against them, you know, they've never panicked. They've always come out on the other side of it, and that's not a sign of a good team. That's a sign of a great team. If you look at it, you said Linda Martin in goals, Sharon Courtney in the back line. You have one of her sisters, Meg Start, as well. You have Cora Courtney in the midfield. You have Rosemary Courtney there as well, and you have the new kids on the block as well. And you look at the Garlands coming through, and Aoife Burns as well, which was on the show a couple of weeks ago. So, and people have said that Donaghmoyne has been an age side, but what I've seen over the last couple of years, they have bonded the youth and the experience. Like, you know, the Ulster final and the All-Ireland semi-final, there was 6 girls on the age of 25 on that, and that was including the captain, Naomh Callan, as well. I think it's going to be a cracker of a game. I think both of them were really looking forward to it. As Ger and Darren said, they will bring big support to Croke Park on Sunday. On Saturday, but I think that's where the game should be played, because you have your top class players within your own counties, and that this is where the All-Ireland Cup final should be played.
It should be an outstanding occasion, Niall, for sure. Teenie McConnell got a few headlines there recently. Anyway, she decided to get married the day before the club semi-final, then arrived into the grounds on a helicopter on the Sunday. Phenomenal stuff. Niamh Callan is engaged too, and she's getting married. They haven't a date till. I actually met her during the week, and Barry was with her as well. So they have wedding bells coming down the tracks as well. Just some lovely storylines around the club scene that sometimes you don't get at inter-county level, Niall, which makes the club, obviously, you talk about the sets of sisters, and it's just, even on the Mullinahone setup, texting their manager, Mary O'Shea, she has 2 daughters on the team that start. 3 Horans, Grania number 3, Emer number 17, they're sisters. Their number 2 is also Emer Horn. So they've 2 Emer Horns on the panel. She's John Lahey's niece, the former Tipperary hurler. So 5 sets of sisters and a brother and sister involved in that setup. So it's just the club narrative, Niall, is always so good. Yeah,
well, see, whenever you look at your club, I suppose it's like any county executive, it's like any county team. It's your club that makes your county when it comes to team or executive or any committee like that. So, you know, it's brilliant to see these stories, like, and as Teenie McConnell said, like, you know, somebody said, why you thinking of playing, you know, in the All-Ireland semi-final? He says that was the most stupidest question she was asked, you know, realistically. but it's just down through the years and the success. You know, we have often said it, when it comes to success breeds success. But gelling the youth and the experience within Donaghmoyne, and as I've said to them, when their backs has been to the wall, they've always come out on top. They've never panicked. They've always settled their heads, and they've always pushed on and won these games. So, come here. Yes, Kilkerrin-Clonberne is going to go in as favourites because they are the current champions. But I think, as I alluded earlier, it's the last swan song for the likes of the Francie Colemans, some of the more experienced girls. I'm not going to call them the older girls on the Donaghmoyne team, the more experienced girls. So, yeah, I think it'll be a cracker of a game, but I think I could see Donaghmoyne coming out on tops. Okay, you've nailed your colours to the mast there, so we'll see how that one pans out. Just from the neutral perspective, Ger, when you look at Mullinahone from Tipperary up against the Slashers from Longford, how do you see a fixture like that panning out when there's no obvious history or anything that we can point to in terms of previous meetings or anything like that? But the intermediate grade, and you've seen some cracking intermediate football down through the years as well at club level, and including Cork teams involved, is very, very strong.
It is, and I've seen Mullinahone a couple of years ago as well, so I've seen them in action, and it doesn't surprise me that they're in the final. But can I just say, from a freelance journalist point of view and a headline writer's dream, I really hope Longford Slashers win it, because there's so much fun you could have with that headline. Mullinahone. I think it'll boil down to Jackie, who settles into who doesn't play the occasion and plays the match, because it's Croke Park and it's brilliant. I echo Neil, I know Darren is going to say the same. Having the club finals in Croke Park is exactly where they should be, and fair play to the LGFA for getting them in there, because this is where the players want to play. It's the pinnacle of the club. And it's lovely hearing all the stories, and last week as well, Darren, on about Salthill-Knocknacarra and the different, the family links to the clubs are things you don't get at inter-county, and it does add to it, definitely. But to answer your question directly, I've seen Mullinahone, and I think they knew what they were doing a couple of years ago, and they certainly know what they're doing now. And I would imagine that because they've had that base of a bit more experience than Longford Slashers over the last couple of years, that's the only reason I would edge them to them. But I would love to see the Slashers win it just to get the headlines. For the senior one, Neil has brilliantly talked down Donaghmoyne there fantastically well, as is his want. I saw in the flesh what Kilkerrin-Clonberne can do to a team like Mourne and I just can't bet against them. They are a really, really good club. They were young when I saw them beat Mourne. They're a bit more experienced now. It is going to take something extra special to stop that team winning a senior. It's nothing to do with necessarily the opposition. It's just what I've seen with my own two eyes. I hope we get two finals befitting of the occasions. I think we will. I think the really good club players rise to the occasion on county final day and on provincial final day, and definitely on All-Ireland final day. Because here's the thing, Jackie. When a club player gets to an Ireland club final, you might get back to a county final in a couple of years. You might still be involved. There's a chance you get through the province, but very rarely, unless you're part of a very special setup, to get back to an All-Ireland final. It's a once-off, and you need to treat it like that. It's brilliant for the families and the players that they get to do it at Croke Park. It's befitting of the occasion and befitting of their careers. I just hope we get two really good games, but I'm going to go with Mullinahone, although I would like the Slashers headlines myself, and I'm definitely going to go with Kilkerrin-Clonberne. Nothing to do with the opposition, but just to do what I've seen with my own two eyes, what a setup they are. And it's just going to be very, very hard to unseat them, definitely. And as for if you're going to ask me about the junior one,
yes, I
am. But I would say this, the caveat of Naomh, I think they'll win if they hold Salthill-Knocknacarra under 10 or 11 points, possibly, not much more than that. And having watched the highlights, I know the Naomh watched that semi-final, and Darren was right, they kicked 19 wides. Half of those on another day would have won the game quite easily. They are a damn good team, Salthill-Knocknacarra, and they have Naomh's respect, I can tell you that. And I think the fact that, some of the players in that team that would have played, I would have seen playing for the Galway Intermediate Camogie team in the All-Ireland this year, in terms of fitness, in terms of strength and conditioning, this All-Ireland final will be nothing to them in terms of it won't be as big a step for them. It's how the rest of Salthill-Knocknacarra take to the day. But I think if Naomh can keep them under 11 or 12 points, I think they'll come home with the trophy, but it's a big ask.
Okay. Darren, we're going to leave the last word to you, and it's on Kilkerrin-Clonberne, because obviously they've been covered extensively in local media. And actually, Willie Ward alluded to it in his programme notes that they have an excellent relationship with local media, and they opened the panel up to local media, which is exactly what you'd like to see and what you want to see. And it's not a case that the players appear to be burdened by it. In fact, it seems to be the complete opposite. I think Niall might agree. We've seen maybe two sides to Donaghmoyne in their last two games. In the Ulster final, they really gritted it out, and they opened up a little bit more in that All-Ireland semi-final against the Crokes, and really took the game to them. And they have a lovely blend. I do agree. They have a lovely blend of youth and experience. The mainstays are there that have been there, done it all, seen it all, and then that youthful exuberance of the likes of the Garlands and Aoife Byrne. So they are dangerous opposition for Kilkerrin-Clonberne, but Kilkerrin-Clonberne, Darren, have pace simply all over the pitch. How are you reading their chances on Saturday?
Well, Jackie, first things first, when you look at Donaghmoyne, there's 47 All-Ireland titles among the expected starting teams. 7 players have been involved in all 5 All-Ireland victories. So, this Donaghmoyne team, as Niall said earlier on, they're coming to play. And even go back to that game last January in the All-Ireland semi-final of 2021, Nicola Ward got those 2 goals in the first half, as you mentioned. Donaghmoyne lost a player to a yellow card in the third quarter, yet outscored Kilkerrin-Clonberne by 5 points to 1. They refused to throw the towel in as well. And that's the attitude they're going to come into Croke Park with. They have a tradition. They're the second biggest team in the Roll of Honour after Ballymacarbry. Now, when I mentioned Ballymacarbry, we saw what Kilkerrin-Clonberne did to them in the semi-final in difficult conditions as well. After finally beating Mourne, after finally winning an All-Ireland title, it's like Kilkerrin-Clonberne have been liberated. They're at the peak of their powers at the moment, and this is the challenge facing Donaghmoyne. Donaghmoyne have to hit the gas at the start. They have to get their noses in front, because Kilkerrin-Clonberne are good now at reading the game on the field to play. Against Ballymacarbry, they were toying with each other, and then all of a sudden Louise Ward said, putting the shoulder down, let's get on with it. And all of a sudden there was 5 points to 0 up, and this was before Chloe Miskell got the goal. Both teams have great defenders. Both teams have good goalkeepers. Both teams have very, very dangerous inside players if they're given supply. But this All-Ireland final is going to be decided between 5 and 12. And that middle 8. And I can't see Donaghmoyne going with Kilkerrin-Clonberne for 60 minutes, and that's, to be straight honest with you, That's why they have to get in front. They have to put doubt into Kilkerrin-Clonberne. They have the players that can do it as well, Jackie. I don't want to be writing off Donaghmoyne. Like when you look at there, the Courtneys alone, Rosemary Courtney's one of the best players in the country. The Garlands, Amy at 11, Eileen McElroy, Cora Courtney in midfield. Emer Treanor is going to go flying up and down the field as well. But if Donaghmoyne are chasing the game at half time, they're not going to win the All-Ireland. Kilkerrin-Clonberne, they're right age at the moment. We've talked about family connections, the Wards, the Divleys, many other players. You throw in the Three Noons as well. Yep. They'll go for 2 hours if the match lasts 2 hours, and they still won't be tired. Look, as a Galway man, it's been great to see Kilkerrin-Clonberne up there finally winning an All-Ireland title, and I think they're going to add to it as well. Not often a team that wins the first gets the second, but for Donaghmoyne, that experience, they have to use it at the start. If they let Nicola Ward storm up the field and get a goal like she did last year, they're going to be up against it. So, like, and then taking my Galway cap off, Kilkerrin-Clonberne, hands down for me, will win this All-Ireland. But I certainly, if Donaghmoyne can get their noses in front at the start, I think we'll have a thrilling contest. I think we will anyway. Donaghmoyne know what they're going up against, and I don't think Donaghmoyne will roll over. It should be a cracking game.
Should be a great game, Darren. I'd say the Donaghmoyne video analysis team might clip out some of your comments there.
I've just done my bit for them there now.
They'll be circulating into the WhatsApp group later on.
Jackie, can I just say one thing as well, Darren? And just as Ger mentioned too, it's absolutely fantastic and well overdue that these Ladies Football Club finals are in Croke Park, and delighted for all 4 teams that get the opportunity, like Longford Slashers and Mullinahone, like for Longford Football and the great work that they put in as well to have their own representatives there too. And Mullinahone on a journey at the moment. They lean towards a bit of Denise Galway experience you would feel about the big day in Croke Park too. That might give them a slight edge too, but it's just great for those 2 teams and the 2 counties to have their clubs representatives in an All-Ireland Intermediate final in Croke Park.
Cheers, Darren. And ticket information is available on our website, ladiesgaelic.ie, and the 2 games on Saturday are live in TG Car, and you can watch a live stream of Sunday's final as well. Go to ladiesgaelic.ie for more details and all of that. Ger McCarthy, Niall Treanor and Darren Kelly, thank you so much for your time today, lads.
Cheers.
Thank you very much, Jackie.